Hi, this is Gordon, and I'm going to give a presentation I gave at Hack Reactor on the law and technology of data security and data protection. The topics we're going to cover is only one because of the time limitation. It will be the May 2017 Equifax breach. If you want to learn more about this hot topic in technology, go ahead and pick up my book Real CIPPE Prep, An American's Guide to European Data Protection Law and the General Data Protection Regulation GDPR, available at Amazon and other fine bookstores. 150 million Americans' personally identifiable information, their legal names, SSNs, dates of birth, addresses, driver's licenses were compromised, along with 20 million credit card numbers, and there are 300 million Americans total. So this was half of the American population. When I mean compromised, I mean that this information is being sold for roughly $20 a piece on the dark web. So if you go on the dark web, you can, of course, make some purchases there. And the developers and executives at Equifax are being investigated for insider trading based on knowledge of these breaches before advising the public. The Equifax tech stack looks like this, whereas we use JavaScript, which is generally a front-end language, and Node.js as our backend based on C++. Equifax uses Java, which is generally a backend language, to run their servers, and their HTTP servers are Apache servers, whereas we generally use Nginx. The framework their server runs is Apache struts. This is similar to how we use Express, and if you look at the bottom of the slide, you'll see a GitHub repo for Apache struts. Finally, the HTTP parser that is packaged with Apache struts in that repo is called the Jakarta multipart parser. This is similar to the body parser that we tend to import into our APIs. So let's talk a little bit more about the role of the parser. You'll recognize from the picture on this slide that there's a header and a body, and they're separated by that long orange line. And the header is composed of a number of tuples that provide information about the HTTP request to the server and tells the server, hey, I want you to do this, and the body contains additional information. The role of the parser is, first of all, to read the header, second, to collect the body, because as the packets of the HTTP request are being transferred through the internet, they arrive asynchronously, they may arrive in a different order, and it's the job of the parser to package that all together before the server can execute a command. And finally, the role of the body parser is to escape any suspicious looking input that may look malicious. This picture on the right demonstrates two interceptor stacks within the Jakarta multipart parser. And interceptor stacks are basically regex statements or any other statements that are looking for possibly malicious code. And if that is found, then the interceptor stack will execute logic to escape the HTTP request, to ignore it rather than to take any sort of action, and thereby protect the server and the data on the server. Now, the issue with Jakarta multipart parser was that there was a bug where if you put in the second part of the content type tuple, some sort of executable code within your HTTP request header, it would actually execute the code, which is not correct. Content type is supposed to be something like application slash JSON or octet. It's not supposed to support this sort of functionality. It should be intercepted, but the interceptor stacks didn't work. And multiple security researchers knew this in 2016. They warned Equifax. Equifax did nothing. On March of 2017, Apache Struts released a patch that patched the interceptor stacks to function correctly, but Equifax again did nothing. Later that month, there was the first Equifax breach, and Equifax apparently knew about this because the allegations of insider stock dumping occurred on this month, but they did nothing to resolve the technical issue. 2 months later, there was a second distinct Equifax breach. In July, allegedly, Equifax actually detected there was at least one breach, and finally in September, Equifax advised the public and directed the public to check on whether or not they were affected. by linking them to a fake website created by some random software engineer who was proving the point that Equifax was not very good at this web development business. So the legal impact, this slide is outdated, but Equifax settled federal and multi-state investigations for $700 million. But the more important thing, and this slide is also outdated, is you can see Equifax crashed to roughly less than, let's say, $90 a share, with the volume of trading being very intense during the time of the crash. But now I believe they're back up to their high from before the crash, so they're over $140. And you can see the stock remaining steady when I was first giving this presentation, meaning that don't worry about the performance of the stock. Don't risk the insider trading charges. Just hold the stock. It's going to be all right. Now, during Hack Reactor, you should think about the various libraries and packages that you're installing into your projects. And are they outdated? One way to check is to type npm outdated, and you'll get a list like this image where you see the current column of the versions you have, the wanted column, which is the versions you specified in your packages.json, and also the latest available build that the package manager has access to. Two questions I want to leave you with. First of all, why wouldn't you want to use npm audit fix or npm install package at latest during your Hack Reactor sprint? What problems might that cause, even though you're going to patch all the known security vulnerabilities? And secondly, assuming that you are out in the business world creating your own apps, one of them processes credit cards and it is breached, what do? That might be worth a Google search just to arm yourself with the knowledge. Or you could buy my new book, and thank you very much for your time.